let's see, CH4, O2, CO2, H2O. Is that the equation that they wrote for me? Step 2, figure out all of the charges.
Do I go to the right side to do that first?
We do it all over the place. So I'm going to start with the ones that are by themselves. Oxygen, they didn't write anything. That's how I know that it is 0. I do start with the last one in the chart, actually in the molecule. If you locate where hydrogen is, then you see it's in column 1. That's how I know that hydrogen is a +1.
Quick question though. Like, doesn't CH4, CO2 also not have a
Say that one more time.
Did you put a 0 in front of oxygen? So having else in front of it?
Well, they wrote 0 here. They still have a 0 here, but that means they have to add up to be 0.
Because they're not another element.
Oh, I thought you meant numbering.
So if I'm doing this, there's 4 of these. Each one is +1. The hydrogens must be a +4. So what is the charge on carbon? There's 1 carbon. That carbon has a -4 charge. We do the same thing here. We locate oxygen in the periodic table. We know he's a -2. 2 of those. -4. That's how I know that the carbon is no longer a -4. He's now a +4. He has had an electron change. Oxygen is a -2. There's 1 of them. So that's a -2. That has to be a +2. +2 spread over 2 things makes each one is a +1. When we start dealing with electrochemistry, you got to know what the charges are before you can really figure out what's happening. The second thing we do is we look to see where there are changes. The carbon is changed from a -4 to a +4. That's 8 electrons for each atom. The +1 to a +1 is not having a change. The oxygen changes. In each case, the oxygen, as it goes over, is having a 2 electron change per atom. turns out that the carbon is losing, the oxygen is gaining. That means that the oxygen is being reduced and the oxygen is being oxidized. And that's kind of where they use the words, is the carbon's being forced to change by the oxygen. If I want this to balance, if I had 4 of those go over, every time I had 1 of those go over, I would have 8 electrons being lost for 8 electrons being gained. That would be a happy situation. That would mean that I would have a 1 in front of here. That means I would have a 2 in front of there. So let me stop and check. Can everybody see why I decided that that ends up with a 4? So 2 electrons. 2 moles of oxygen, each one with an O2, means that 2 times 2 is 4. So that's the 4 atoms going over. So if I sort out the rest, I've got 1 carbon here. I would have to have a 1 carbon here. I've got to have a total of 4 oxygens. I've used up 2 of them here. So I would have to write 2 here so that I can see that it is balanced with the charges. That's how you do it. Check that the atoms are balanced. 1 carbon, 4 hydrogens. I've got 1 carbon. Can everybody see the 4 hydrogens here? That is now a balanced chemical equation. Write the answer clearly. It's really messy up there. Now, folks, up to this point, you actually could have balanced it the old-fashioned way.